Some know them as killer whales, others as Orca. They rule the seas. Yet we know very little about them. But one New Zealand woman is peeling back the mystery to challenge many of our strongest beliefs.
The New Zealand orca are totally different from any other population of orca anywhere else in the world. They hunt differently, they eat different prey, they're unique.
As recently as the 1970s, US Navy manuals warned orcas were so ferocious they will attack human beings at every opportunity. Seldom has anyone dared to confront the killers in their own domain. And few have got as close to them as this. For the past 5 years, Ingrid Visser has given her life to studying killer whales. Her story begins in the subtropical north of New Zealand, in the sheltered waters of Whangarei Harbour. It has long been known as a winter port of call for killer whales travelling along the New Zealand coast. But even in the confined harbour, finding them is difficult. Although they breathe air like us, killers spend 90% of their time out of sight and could easily be a mile away before they surface again. They're so elusive, it's not surprising they've seldom been studied in the wild. Yet Ingrid is about to attempt to track the nomadic giants through an entire year.
Hello, I can see you under there. Hello. Woohoo!
Ingrid's convinced killer whales have been miscast as mindless plunderers. In fact, they have far more reason to fear us than we do them. Over the past century, thousands have been slaughtered for whale products. But orca are not whales at all, they are dolphins. And like their smaller cousins, the common dolphins, they have a complex social structure. They cooperate in a similar way, and both are highly intelligent. But of all the dolphins, orca are by far the largest, and they are definitely killers. They devour almost every sizable animal in the sea, including large whales. But for all their fearsome appetite, orca attacks on humans are extremely rare and puzzling. In 1984, marine biologist Todd Sylvester was diving near Whangarei.
And then out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a large orca. I guess this one would have been about 20 feet, and it was perhaps 25 feet away from me. And then as I looked, it swam even closer and closer and closer, and it came up right up behind me. And then next thing I knew, it opened its mouth. I guess she would have probably had from my calves, ankles, that sort of thing, maybe up to my knees even, inside her mouth. And I could certainly see, pretty well just there at the end of your knees, that's where her teeth were. They were very big, very white, very, very sparkling. Of course, by this stage, it was all too much for me. I was in major panic mode. I kicked her off and started to dive for the bottom. Swam up again, did pretty much exactly the same thing. I kicked her off again, tried to get to the bottom. The same thing happened again. I think it happened 3, maybe 4 times. I descended to the bottom and never saw her again, drawing large breaths of air.
The orca was clearly just inquisitive and intended no harm. In fact, there are no records of humans ever being eaten by orca. But why do they treat us differently than anything else in the sea? It's part of the enigma that drives Ingrid's fascination.
Good morning, KCCFM, and this morning our special guest is orca researcher Ingrid Visser. Now, she's been involved in researching orca throughout New Zealand for the last 5 years.
In her quest for answers, Ingrid's become an unofficial ambassador for the species.
Thank you.
So, why study orca?
Well, before I started this research project, no one had ever worked on orca here in New Zealand, and we had no idea where they were going, what they were feeding on, or basically anything about them. And they are the top predator in the marine environment, and it's really important to know what's going on out there.
Well, what got you interested in orca, or the killer whale to start with anyway?
Ever since I was a kid, I've had a fascination with the sea, and in particular with orca, and it's just been something that I wanted to do ever since I can remember.
Nothing to do with the movie?
No, it started well before Free Willy.
Okay. Now, Ingrid, I know the public can help. What do we have to do, or what can we do to help you with your research?
Well, I've set up an 0800 toll-free number, and people can give me a call on that. And that's really a key for me, because that allows me to get out and photograph the animals, study their behaviour and see what they're doing. And to be able to find where they are, I need people to be able to call me on the toll-free number. I've had calls from all over New Zealand, fishermen down in Stewart Island to fishermen up at North Cape, people on harbours, people at the beach for the day. It's been really, really good.
Ingrid set out to discover how many there are, where they go, and how often they breed. And the first stop was to get to know individuals. Picking out the shape of a white eye patch, tail markings, or the curve of a dorsal fin, or identify the animals that make up a traveling group or pod. This is Alpha Pod with the male Olaf and the old cow A1 with the damaged fin. The regal bull Spike with the perfect dorsal is from another pod. Ingrid calls it Rocky's pod. Rocky is a bull with a broader fin, named for his skills hunting around rocks and reefs. Both pods are part of what she calls the Northern Clan, a group of 30 animals that gather periodically in Whangarei Harbour. From hundreds of scattered sightings and thousands of snapshots, she has come to know the individual animals by sight. Some she has come to know well enough to sense distinct personality. One that she's called Digit, far from being something to fear, seems to actively seek contact.
Digit's called Digit after a gorilla that was studied by a lady called Diane Fossey. And Digit the gorilla was the first gorilla to reach out and touch a human. And Digit the orca is named because she's an orca that reaches out and touches me.
Hey, Digit, where have you been? Come on.
Orca Hotline, Ingrid speaking. Oh, fantastic. Whereabouts? Oh, okay. How many have you got there? Every time the phone rings, it's like the very first time. I get a great rush and it's a real excitement, and I never know what's going to happen. I never know whether I'm going to go out and meet new animals or see animals that I know really well. It's like a lottery. I just never know what to expect.
Two hours drive away, the three northern pods are still together. They're moving slowly, allowing Ingrid to follow them for several hours. It appears to be a major clan gathering. There's A1 amongst them, the old female with the damaged fin from Alpha Pod. Bent Tip's a big bull from Beta Pod. The two pods may be related. Big bulls like Rocky may travel alone at times, but usually stay with one pod. Pods are a family group centered around a matriarch. They frequently have 3 or even 4 generations roaming together. Tail slaps and breaching are classic parts of orca courtship. Clan gatherings give the nomadic pods a vital chance to mix with others, renew family bonds, play and mate. As the orca regroup to move on, one breaks away and approaches Ingrid's boat. It's Digit.
Hey, Digit. How are you, girl?
I've known Digit for about 4 years, and she's come over to interact with me, I guess, more than a dozen times now. Whenever Digit approaches my boat, I really believe that she's trying to communicate with me in some way. I don't know how Orca would normally express feelings to people, but Digit has a number of signals that she uses with me, and those involve blowing bubbles at the surface, but also opening and closing her mouth, and she'll lie right next to the boat and sometimes even stick her head out of the water and open and close her mouth right next to my hand. It's a real thrill when she comes over.
These intimate encounters are redefining our understanding of wild orca. And they give Ingrid the drive to continue a haphazard existence. She is attempting to track an animal born to the total freedom of the sea. To pursue the nomads of the sea, Ingrid has had to become a nomad herself.
My life is an absolute chaos of phone calls. I just never know where I'm going to go next. I can end up travelling the length or even the breadth of the country, and there's just countless frustrations. Storms, hold-ups, breakdowns, false alarms, and even then, sometimes I don't find the animals. But I have to take every opportunity because I never know when I'm going to get the encounter of a lifetime.
As the winter months pass, orca reports continue. Many end in failure, but there's usually some reward. In this case, another marine mammal for company. These are common dolphins, found in most of the world's oceans. Large schools live along the coast near Whangarei. Like all dolphins, they are popular prey of orca. But Ingrid has discovered that in Whangarei Harbour, something else is higher on the orca menu. Rays. And they're regarded with particular relish by Rocky's pod.
I think rays to orca are a bit like chocolate. They just seem to go to any extreme to get them. They just love stingrays. The orca work as a team to the ray. But the stingray's poisonous spine can inflict a nasty wound or even blind an orca. Discretion may be the better part of a quick lunch. Their success as predators may come from their strong family links. Hunting techniques are passed on from generation to generation. They work together like a wolf pack. This time, the target is an eagle ray. The orca attempt to outflank it, although this ray too escapes. Today's pursuit seems more a game than a serious hunt. Orca are the size of a small truck and require 1/4 of a ton of food a day.
when they get serious about feeding, things are not so genteel.
The first few times that I saw Orca taking stingrays, I really wasn't sure if I knew what I was seeing. It all happened so quickly. The orca are rushing around, there's stingrays leaping out of the water. Wow, it's just full on. And then the more times I saw it, I came to realise that I was seeing something that was incredible, exciting, new. It was a world first discovery.
Wow, check out the teeth marks here. These ones go right in its head. That's incredible, and this whole wing is missing. Oh wow, look at that. That's incredible, just where they've ripped the whole wing off.
With no cutting teeth, the orca work together to tear their prey apart. Curiously, they often seem to deliberately discard the ray livers. Ingrid thinks the livers might pose some hidden threat.
They are the top marine predator. And when you consider orca eat stingrays, and stingrays eat little critters that live in the mud, then if you loop that back, of course the orca are getting all of those pollutants directly. And that could be affecting calves through the milk from their mothers. It could be affecting breeding cycles, and it's a real worry for me.
For such large and feared creatures that can roam unchallenged through the sea, it's ironic their greatest hazard could lie in gentle harbours. The next sighting seems to reinforce Ingrid's concern. Two days later, orcas show up in another busy and polluted harbour, bordering New Zealand's largest city, Auckland. It's the 5 members of Alpha Pod again, with the cow A1 and her constant companion, Olaf. Alpha Pod have travelled 200 miles in just 3 days. And the city yields another vital piece of information. Ingrid tracks down some archive film shot by Auckland filmmaker Dr. Simon Cotton.
We filmed this in 1978. This pod had been under the harbour bridge, and we followed them down Campbell's Bay.
I think I recognise one of those. Wow, yeah, it's definitely her. I call her A1. She was the very first animal that I catalogued. That's her there.
There she goes again.
Yeah.
The film proves that A1 has been visiting Auckland Harbour for at least 20 years. And she could be 3 times that old. The effects of such long-term exposure to the harbour's concentrated pollutants can only be guessed. But it's a sobering discovery. The southern spring. Orca sightings have dropped off. After weeks of inactivity, Ingrid has had a report of them just off the coast and chasing whales. But it'll prove to be another false alarm.
Sometimes I'll get a call out for orca, and it turns out not to be orca at all. It might be Brouder's whales, and Brouder's whales, when they're feeding, generally, they rush around on their sides and their tail flukes will stick out, and it looks incredibly like an orca dorsal fin. And I get a lot of reports of orca chasing Brouder's whales, but actually it's just the tail of the Brouder's whale chasing itself.
It's an understandable mistake. Packs of orcas have been seen killing whales 4 times their size. The whale is simply lunging after herrings, but the orca seem to have disappeared. And based on previous year's sightings, Ingrid is about to make her greatest journey. Hoping to establish where at least some of her pods go for the summer, she begins a 600-mile journey from Whangarei to Kaikoura on New Zealand's South Island.
I I had people tell me that there were no animals around New Zealand. There were no orca in New Zealand waters. I had other people tell me that there were hundreds and hundreds of them. They're just rampant all over the place. But nobody really knew whether the animals that we're seeing in the North Island were turning up in the South Island or not.
Ingrid suspects that orca, like other nomads, visit particular feeding sites at regular intervals, and that her northern pods have a rendezvous far to the south. Although the country seems small, New Zealand's narrow islands stretch almost 1,500 miles from north to south. It gives the country nearly the same length of coastline as the United States. Beyond the rugged coast of Kaikoura is one of the richest stretches of sea in the world, drawing marine life from far away. The red krill monida is an important foundation of the marine food chain. It's widespread in the southern oceans, but nowhere more dense than here, where deep Antarctic currents well up against the coast. But the only dolphins in evidence today are not orca, but their tiniest cousin. Only a yard long, Hector's dolphins are the smallest in the ocean and found only around New Zealand. They are a coastal dolphin and resident here. They prefer the murky water within a mile of shore, perhaps because it provides some cover from predators such as orca.
They're so full of life, they're always zipping all over the place. It's as if they're a wind-up bathtub toy.
The bustling coastal life of Hector's contrasts with the ocean wanderings of the orca. But then Ingrid gets the call she's waiting for. A fisherman has spotted orca up the coast. With a local research assistant, she begins the chase once more.
You see him?
Yep, got him here.
Oh, yep.
There you go, coming
Excellent.
up.
Right. GPS 234411, adult male, slow surfacing.
Coming up.
Turning towards the boat. Out of gear, Danny?
Yep.
Great.
It's a familiar friend from the north.
Perfect. Look at that. Wow. Awesome.
It's the big bull bent tip. There's no way of knowing where he's been in the intervening 2 months since she last saw him. The shortest route he could have taken would be at least 700 miles, but he could have covered thousands. There's Ragged Top too, with his truncated fin. So this is Beta Pod, the same one that Ingrid encountered just before leaving Whangarei. It confirms everything that she suspected. Clearly, the orca are true nomads and range over vast distances.
When I first saw that it was Prop and Ragged Top and Bent Tip, it was a great thrill, because here were old friends from the North Island and the South Island.
No, just Ragged Top and the big male.
And they'd travelled all that way, and I wondered if they recognised me the same way that I recognised them. The earliest record that I have of Prop actually comes from 1988, and she already had really nasty scars on her back from an encounter with a propeller.
Move on in closer, please, Danny. Move on in closer. He's got something in his mouth. That's real good. Okay, that's nice. Out here, please. Right there. Here he goes. He's right on the left. Coming up. Coming up. Look what he's got in his mouth. What is it? Woo! Go, big boy. Wow. I don't know. It looks like possibly a stingray. He's still got it. He's at the back of the boat. Coming up at the back of the boat. Woo! Wow, that was great. Go, boy, go. Yes. Oh, he's got a nice notch in the tail. Did you see the notch in his tail? Woo! Oh, here he comes again. Can you see him? Go, boy, go. Oh no, I've run out of film.
Ingrid thinks this may be one of a number of hunting grounds that her orca visit on a regular circuit stretching several thousand miles, and that they hunt these key sites on a systematic basis. The unbroken coast stretching to the south gives a chance to further test the theory.
And how far out do we want to be today, Ingrid?
Oh, well, yesterday we were following the animals in the vicinity between 2 to 5 miles offshore.
2 to 5, all right. Well, if we work a 3-mile line just south, following the coast, hopefully we'll get onto the Orca.
Great, thanks, Chris. I haven't actually seen them from the plane before, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, let's hope we're lucky enough to find one.
Orca moves so far and so fast, Ingrid seldom has the chance to track the same animals over consecutive days. The unusually straight coast south of Kaikoura means there are no bays or coves for them to hide in.
Have you seen something?
And bingo, look at that, right out there.
Oh, all right. Good skills, Chris. Wow.
All we'll do is we'll just gradually drift down,
Yeah.
get to them, and we'll go around to the right, just fly around in a circle around them.
Hey, good spotting.
It is Beta Pod, heading further south. They have moved 70 miles from Kaikoura overnight, but Ingrid thinks they'll be back. She believes this is a deliberate strategy to rest the hunting grounds until their prey relax their guard. These are dusky dolphins, one of the most acrobatic of all sea creatures, and frequently eaten by orca. They're found throughout the southern oceans, and in summer, groups of 500 or more feed along the coastline. They move en masse, like a herd of animals crossing a marine savanna. Like orca, duskies range over large distances.
At this time of the year, the dusky dolphins are having their babies, and they're just so cute. They're just learning how to swim. Mums are very protective. Of course, the little babies are very vulnerable. They're bite-sized orca snacks, if you like.
Her hunch is right. 3 days later, the killers return. Approaching like stalking lions, relying on stealth and surprise. But then the approaching raiders encounter a stray dolphin, and the whole attack is suddenly in jeopardy. A lone dolphin can easily outmaneuver an orca and send out a warning. For orca to succeed, they need surprise on their side. This time, it's not to be. The orca have no chance once the Duskies are alerted. For Ingrid, the encounter still has its reward. It seems to confirm that the orca's movements are not random, but follow a seasonal circuit around widely scattered sites where food is plentiful.
See him? No.
So this may be the only way they can survive. Orca need to eat large amounts, about 5% of their own body weight every day. The orca are moving north again. Ingrid expects they're heading to another regular seasonal haunt, the nearby Marlborough Sounds. And this is why. The area of sunken river valleys is a haven favored by bottlenose dolphins. They too are prey for the orcas. They form into much larger pods, but they seem to gather around a matriarch in the same way. There's one old female in the Sounds known as Maui that's well known for avoiding the company of other dolphins. But Ingrid discovers she obviously doesn't avoid others entirely.
When I got there, I was really quite excited. She came straight over to the boat and I got into the water. And she came up and she was very interested, but I got the feeling that she was grumpy. She seemed to be quite rotund. She had a very, very big belly. And I just had a sneaking feeling that she might be pregnant. And then a couple of weeks later, she had a little baby.
Bottlenose calves are dependent on their mothers for the first 2 or 3 years, not just for milk, but for learning the essential skills of survival. For orca, it's much longer, which makes Ingrid's next encounter even more extraordinary. A phone call takes her 400 miles further south into the wilderness of Milford Sound. What appears to be a lone young orca has been seen on one of the most rugged stretches of New Zealand's coast. The last reported location was in open ocean, 15 miles south of Milford Sound.
You guys must be the ones that called us about the orca.
Yep.
Do you think it's still there?
Well, it was last night. We were there with it for about half an hour.
Great. What was it doing?
Oh, just swimming around. It's swimming amongst the cray floats and that.
The orca has now been in the area for 6 days on its own, which is very peculiar.
As soon as I saw this little baby orca, I wondered why she was alone. She was so small and she was swimming really strangely, spending a lot of time on the surface and swimming very slowly.
If it's injured, it's likely to be aggressive. But Ingrid decides she has no choice but to get in the water.
She came straight over to me, and I could see immediately that she had wounds on her side that looked like puncture marks and a big gash. And I tried to think what could have caused this. And the sickening thought kept coming back into my mind. Somebody had shot her. I just couldn't believe it. She was so small. Obviously should have been with her mum. Perhaps her mum had been shot as well. A calf this size would normally be taking milk. She just couldn't survive on her own. I wondered if there was any chance of being able to help her. I thought maybe with a bottle, but nobody had ever done anything like that with a wild baby orca. So I thought, okay, maybe I should try some fish. Maybe she'll take fish, maybe she'll learn. I just wanted to try anything I could.
Orca are born 7 or 8 feet long and weigh about 400 pounds. This youngster is now almost certainly less than its birth weight. Time is running out. It's 2 days before weather conditions permit another rescue bid. Ingrid can only hope the orca is still there.
There she was. She was back in the same place. I couldn't believe it. She came straight over to me. She was obviously craving attention.
It's impossible to tell how long she's been without her mother. Many calves are thought to stay with their mothers for their entire lives. This youngster won't survive on its own. If she's to have any chance of survival, Ingrid has to find a way to get her to eat fish.
She was really interested in what I was doing, but all she wanted to do was just have that contact. She kept looking me straight in the eye. I gave her some fish and she just took no interest in it. But then she came over and she took some. And I thought, yes, this is great, it's going to work. But then she just kept carrying it and playing with it. And my hopes, it was just tragic to watch.
The youngster simply doesn't know what to do with the food. Struggling to cope with malnutrition and bullet wounds, there seems little hope. Again and again, Ingrid tries to tempt the youngster. But the weather is deteriorating. Ingrid is now struggling to cope herself. With a storm advancing, it's a lost cause.
There was nothing more I could do. I was forced to abandon the baby orca, and she was never seen again.
But her time with the orphan means Ingrid has also lost track of Beta Pod. She has little option but to retrace the 1,000-mile journey back to Whangarei and start again. Autumn brings a strange gap in orca sightings. There seem to be none on the coast, and the few records are from far out at sea. Ingrid again decides to play a hunch and move to a known hunting ground. A small group of islands 15 miles off the New Zealand mainland known as the Poor Knights. The islands are surrounded by a marine reserve, and orca are regular callers here. At this time of year, its undersea archways and tunnels attract some special visitors. No one knows for certain what draws stingrays to this remote spot. They may be gathering for courtship. But Ingrid hopes that they may also attract the northern clan, tempted by the prospect of a veritable ray feast. today there's no sight. The rays have the poor nights to themselves. Why have the orca ignored the temptations of the ray gathering? Where else could they be? An answer comes from an unexpected quarter. Ingrid receives a message from fishermen working the edge of the continental shelf, 70 miles north of New Zealand. The long liners haul blue-nose grouper from spawning grounds 1,000 feet down. Within minutes of starting to winch up their lines, orca appear as if from nowhere. Although she's heard of orca taking fish off long lines overseas, Ingrid's never had the chance to witness it. These fishermen have taken to luring orca away from their working lines with decoy baits. They say orca always show up round here at this time of year, presumably drawn by the same spawning fish that draw the fishing fleets. Ingrid was expecting one of her familiar northern pods, but these raiders are strangers. They may not be part of the coastal population at all, but a separate deep-sea pod. Ingrid needs to identify these newcomers, and the sea out here is so clear it offers a rare opportunity for underwater photographs. But aside from her dive with the orphan, the only time Ingrid has dived with orca have been fleeting encounters with a few animals she has known well. These are total strangers, possibly with quite different responses to the coastal animals. And Ingrid has no idea how they will respond to what they may see as a challenge or threat.
The reaction of these animals was one of curiosity. They were quite interested, but perhaps a little bit wary, but still curious about what we were doing in the water. And then they came closer and closer. One of them came so close. He was the top predator in the ocean, coming to have a look, eyeball to eyeball. It wasn't until I got out of the water afterwards that I realised what I'd just done. I'd been diving in the middle of nowhere, in water I don't know how deep, with animals that had never seen people in the water before. And then the adrenaline kicked in.
Woo! That was incredible. The big guy just came right past. So close. Wow.
The discovery of the deep-sea feeding grounds is a major new piece to the orca puzzle. And then, on a cold winter's day, comes the culmination of Ingrid's year's work.
Okay, can we just slow down just a little, please? Yep, that's great, thank you.
Some old friends make a welcome return to the coast.
Yep.
It's Beta Pod, easily identified by prop and bent tip. They have finally returned from Kaikoura after an absence of 5 months.
When I saw who it was incredibly rewarding. Here was prop and bent tip back here. It was like a missing piece to the jigsaw.
It's clear that New Zealand orca are anything but random wanderers. Ingrid's 5 years of work shows that there are few animals and that they hunt around the entire North Island and quite possibly the entire country, patrolling many thousands of miles every year. At Whangarei Harbour, the Northern Clan reunion is completed with the arrival of Alpha and Rocky's pod. Ingrid now knows that they form a significant part of the total New Zealand population.
So far I've photo-identified 130 orca around New Zealand. I know there's more out there, but my estimates put it at really only somewhere between 200 and 300 animals around the whole of New Zealand. That's a really, really small population of key predators in the marine environment. With so few animals, every single one is precious. Every one makes a difference.
In fact, orca are probably not abundant anywhere. And from overseas research, we know orca can live at least 50 years with a similar life cycle to humans. They start breeding about the same time as us, and each female has only 4 or 5 calves in her lifetime. Their long lives and their habit of feeding in polluted harbours make orca everywhere particularly vulnerable to our activities. So his clan's gathering, with its opportunity to socialise and mate, takes on a new significance. But the year holds one more rare and extraordinary surprise. Ingrid receives a late-night call out to a beach 10 miles south of Whangarei. An orca has stranded.
When I first saw the orca on the beach, as I was walking up to him, I was wondering if this was an animal that I knew. And if it was an animal I knew, where was his family? How come he was on the beach? What happened to him? Was he hurt? And as I got closer, I realised it was an animal I knew, Ben. And I'd been watching his family only the day before in Whangarei Harbour. I'm pretty sure Ben was chasing a ray. And of course the rays will go to any extreme to get away from the orca. Maybe the one he was chasing went into the surf, and being a teenager, Ben just followed him, and he got stuck. It could have been as simple as that.
Throughout the night, the rescue team maintains its vigil, waiting for daylight and the equipment needed to refloat him.
Oh, Ben, you're thirsty, buddy. A drink, yes, got it. Don't run out of water.
By daybreak, help is on its way, and a member of the local Maori tribe offers a blessing for Ben's safe return to the sea.
Shortly after dawn, I got a call on the phone that there were orca in Whangarei Harbour. And I immediately wondered if perhaps it was Ben's group. Maybe it was Rocky and the rest of his family. Maybe they were still in the area.
At last, the long haul back to meet the returning sea can begin. Although still immature, at 15 feet in length and weighing approximately 2 tons, Ben is a full load for the digger. But there is urgency. Ben has been out of the water for 18 hours. There have only ever been a few attempts to refloat Orca, and nobody knows if the animal survived. Finally, supported by specially designed whale rescue pontoons, Ben is floated through the surf.
Once Ben was free of the pontoons, he rolled over onto his side and he just made eye contact with me, and that was the most amazing gift that he could have ever given me. And then he swam off.
Although she's been up all night, Ingrid rushes to track his progress. She arrives in time to witness an extraordinary event. An Orca reunion. Ben is back with his pod. And this time, Ingrid is in no doubt about joining the party.
I couldn't believe it. It was Ben. I could tell it was him because of the tattered skin on his side. And he kept coming closer. And then the whole group came in. But every time it was Ben who was the closest. I know that I'll never forget Ben's stranding, but I wonder what memories he takes away from it. Ben could live another 60 years, and I wonder how this stranding could affect the way he responds to people in the future.
Again and again, the pod responds to Ingrid's presence, as if in recognition of her role in the rescue. We know Orca are inquisitive and adaptable. Is it possible these animals are so intelligent they're already responding to the changing attitudes of humans towards them? In a single generation, we have gone from fearing them to admiring and protecting them. And as we learn more about Orca, what more will they learn about us?
He had a really good look right in my face. That was awesome. That was amazing. Woo!
Before long, the 7 Orca of Rocky and Ben's pod are on the move again, on their way to new places, new encounters. Ingrid's year-long odyssey has come to a spectacular end. But the road to understanding has just begun.
In the last 10 years, we've learnt so much about Orca, and we've made some incredible discoveries. But I can only wonder what the next 10 years might bring.